phone call from Las Vegas leads to skeletal remains inside an Illinois home. We're live with the investigation spanning thousands of miles to find out who called in the crucial tip.
A child found lifeless in a bathtub inside this local apartment building.
A lot of arguing, just a lot of belligerent talk.
Neighbors describe what they know about the family, whose home is now the scene of a crime.
And we live in the desert, so we know the importance of sunscreen. But what about when you're inside? 8 on your sides, Michelle Mortensen looks into a product that promises to protect you from harmful rays coming from the devices you use daily.
And you are going to need that sunscreen as we have the full blow dryer effect going on right now. The heat is on, but we've got a cool down on the way. We've got details on that coming up on the Valley's News Leader.
Now, live, this is 8 News Now at 6.
It is a story that spans the country. A phone call from Las Vegas overnight leads police in Centerville, Illinois to a home where they found the body of a 6-year-old girl wrapped in blankets. Thanks for joining us. I'm Christiane Klein.
And I'm Denise Valdez. That phone call was from the mother of that little girl, and she knows what happened to her. New at 6 tonight, Shakayla Alvarenga is live at Metro headquarters, where police are telling us about more children discovered alive but still neglected in a local home. Shakayla?
Well, Denise and Christiane, one of the lieutenants that we just spoke to said this was one of the most disturbing cases that he's investigated in 19 years at this department. It spans 2 states, 2 different homes, and this is what we know so far. This is where that 6-year-old girl was found dead in the garage of a house in southern Illinois. Her mother told police that her husband, 34-year-old Jason Quate, killed their daughter during a physical altercation 4 years ago. Quate allegedly hid the child's body in a container. The mother says she and Quate met in Illinois and had 3 children together. He allegedly forced her into prostitution and moved to Las Vegas with their 2 other children. After the woman called police in Illinois, Metro was then able to find those 2 children at a home near Eastern and Sahara.
It was a very disturbing scene, seeing the condition of the children, because you could tell they had obviously had limited outside involvement over the last 18 months to 2 years.
Right now, Quate has been arrested for sex trafficking as well as living off the earnings of a prostitute. The mother says he was very abusive and basically held those children hostage, refusing to let them speak to each other or leave that house. Tonight at 11, we'll tell you where that mother went last night to make that phone call to Illinois police that broke this case wide open and led to Quate's arrest and the rescue of those children. Reporting live, Shakayla Alvarenga, 8 News Now.
And new details are coming out after police released the arrest report of that deadly encounter between Tashi Brown and Metro Police just out the Venetian last month. The I-Team's Vanessa Murphy is live in the newsroom with more on that report, describing those moments leading to Brown's death. Vanessa?
Denise, the district attorney is reviewing this arrest report and deciding what to charge Officer Kenneth Lopera with. He was arrested Monday for 2 felonies, including involuntary manslaughter. The DA could reduce those charges or add to them. A decision is likely to come soon. In the meantime, the police union is supporting Lopera and has set up a GoFundMe page for him. Investigators describe a chaotic scene on May 14th caught on Lopera's body camera and surveillance video from the Venetian, and the police department is saying Lopera used excessive force, including a fatal chokehold for more than a minute. The coroner said Monday Tashi Brown died at the hands of police, pointing to asphyxiation while also mentioning he was high on meth and had an enlarged heart. Earlier today, we talked with the head of the police union.
I know he didn't go to work going, boy, I really wish I get involved in a high-profile critical incident today. Quite the contrary, at this point, I'm sure he wishes that it didn't happen at all. But he was out doing the job of a police officer, and sometimes we have a bad end result.
Graham says he views the unauthorized chokehold used by Lopera the same as the one authorized by the department. He says it just takes longer to get a result. Graham has also offered condolences to Tashi Brown's family on behalf of his officers, including Lopera. The charges Lopera was arrested for each carry a maximum sentence of 4 years in prison, and he is no longer being paid by Metro. Back to you.
Thank you, Vanessa. Metro Police are investigating after a child was found dead in a bathtub. Now, this happened at an apartment complex near Cheyenne and Nellis. That's just west of Nellis Air Force Base. 8 News Now reporter Katie Bohr is live in the neighborhood with this developing story. Katie, what are neighbors saying?
Well, Christiane, we were the first ones on scene, and neighbors told us this is at least the third time police have been called out here. They say they often hear a lot of arguing and belligerent yelling coming from this second-story apartment where police are still on scene investigating. The 911 call was reported as a drowning at the Liberty Village apartment homes. Police just told us just a little while ago the child, who is only about 3 years old, was found unresponsive in the bathtub. Now, police haven't released yet if it is a boy or a girl. That child was transported to UMC Pediatrics and pronounced dead on the scene. Coroner's office has not released, though, that official cause of death. Neighbors we spoke to say police have been out here before. How many times do you think police have come out here?
Maybe more than 3 or 4 times.
Have you ever seen children out here?
Yeah, they have.
Yeah, Terry Henry is a neighbor that lives just down below. He says he's seen the children before and believes at least 2 other children live in the apartment complex. In that specific apartment unit, police are still investigating, and abuse and neglect detectives have been called out here. That is customary in any child death. Of course, back live, police are still trying to determine if this was an accident or not. We're told investigators are currently interviewing people involved at UMC. Of course, a lot of questions still surrounding this particular scene out here, including were there parents that were home at the time that this happened? A lot of unanswered questions like that. And now what will happen to the other children who were out here? Of course, this is a developing investigation. We'll continue to track the latest here as well. Reporting live near Nellis and Cheyenne, Katie Bohr, 8 News Now.
Katie, thank you. Well, it has happened again. CCSD police are investigating a school district employee accused of having an inappropriate relationship with a student. 24-year-old Dominic Joyner is behind bars after school police say they received a tip from a parent, and that tip led them to discover Joyner was having a relationship with a student who attends Northwest Career and Technical Academy. Joyner was removed from his duties and suspended without pay. The bus driver is now the 13th CCSD employee arrested so far this year for inappropriate interactions with the student.
Here we go again, hot and breezy outside, a little gloomy on Huntington Beach. Over here, though, we got the clear blue skies, a few high clouds out there, but the winds, like we said, continue to blow, similar to yesterday. Temperatures, of course, are hot. We're above average, triple digits, and all our neighborhoods. Winds double digits. Highest in Henderson, though, and that's because those winds are coming from the southwest. We will see some of those winds early on in the evening, but will they last all week? Here are your weather headlines. This is what we're bringing up here in the next 10 minutes. Temperatures 5 to 10 degrees above average. We've got that warm breeze every day here, but stronger winds come later on in the week. How strong will they get? We could see some wind advisories issued. Then we've got cooler temperatures to follow behind those winds. We'll show you just how cool we will get coming up in your most accurate forecast in just a couple minutes. Denise, back over to you.
All right, Ted, we'll see you then. Clark County is paving the way for recreational pot sales to begin earlier than expected. Today, commissioners approved changes to current medical marijuana rules allowing for the sale of retail pot. 8 News Now reporter Karen Castro has more on how soon recreational pot will hit the legal market.
After a 5-hour discussion, Clark County commissioners approved provisional zoning and business licensing for retail marijuana sales.
Let us not let those people and cut the line just to get high versus somebody that needs their medication.
But before that, medical marijuana patients expressed concerns over the impact it will have on them. Starting July 1st, medical pot dispensaries will be the only businesses allowed to sell recreational pot.
We don't know if we're going to have a throng of tourists coming in versus you have patients that are coming in, and need their medicine.
Commissioners approved changes to existing medical marijuana regulations based on recommendations made by the Green Ribbon Advisory Panel.
The commissioners have this fear that dispensaries want to neglect or forget or push aside medical patients, and that's not the issue at all.
Armin Yemenijan is a member of the panel and a dispensary owner. Commissioners made it clear they want medical pot card holders to be a priority. Among the requirements for dispensaries is having a private area for consultations.
It wasn't a requirement in the initial licensing process. We do have an area. We actually have a an on-site registered nurse that meets with patients and non-patients on a complimentary basis.
What remains unclear is the issue of public consumption. For tourists, they have practically nowhere to use marijuana. Strip properties want nothing to do with it, and it remains illegal to consume in public. A bill that would have allowed specialty lounges for recreational pot died in the state legislature. Karen Castro, 8 News Now.
The Nevada Department of Taxation has until next year to come up with permanent regulations. As of January 1st of this year, it's legal to possess up to an ounce of weed for personal use.
A literal at-the-last-minute bill in the Nevada legislature would toughen up rules on Uber and Lyft drivers. That is one of many bills passed during the last day yesterday that are now in the hands of the governor. SB 554 does a couple of things. It effectively requires ride-sharing companies to self-police and make sure a driver has their business license within 6 months or fire them. It also requires yearly checks of driving records and background checks on drivers every 3 years.
Still ahead tonight here at 6 o'clock, lather on that sunscreen.
That's right. Why you might need to protect your skin indoors no matter the time of year.
A busy intersection is driving people crazy. Demetria Obalor looks into what it takes to get stoplights installed if you know of an intersection that could use some extra safety measures. We'll be right back.
This